Elon, thanks so much for being here today. We've had a pretty good conference so far, at least in my opinion. Over 1,000 people signed up for the first time, so a significant increase. Very excited about the work that's going on and excited to have you here today too.
Great, thanks for having me. I think we are entering a new era of space exploration. It's not just SpaceX, but there's a number of other companies that have developed new approaches. NASA is taking new approaches to things, which is really exciting. Resupply, I think, is a great model that frankly should be adopted throughout government. NASA cargo resupply contracting process as a really great model for government in general. It's where you have two competitors, fixed price, milestone-based, where the milestones are primarily hardware-oriented. If one of the two companies does not reach their milestones, then the remainder of the milestones are competed to another company, and that's what happened with cargo resupply. Kistler made some progress, but wasn't going to get across the finishing line. And having that competitive dynamic is I think, just a very powerful function for getting a great outcome for the NASA as the customer. That was a great model, really well executed. There's the potential for revolutionary progress on that front. The biggest thing that's happened in the last couple of years is the landing of the Falcon 9 rocket booster. And there'll be a lot of those flights in the remainder of the year. We've got about a dozen flights still to go this year. Reflying that same booster with minimal work to the booster. We can get to the point where, in the not too distant future, in fact, probably by next year, obviously while paying very close attention to mission assurance and reliability, but we think we've got at least a technical path to achieving that. I think we're quite close to being able to recover the fairing in front of Falcon 9, which is a 5.2 meter diameter nose cone. The analogy I use with my team is like, guys, imagine we had $6 million in a pallet of cash falling through the sky, and would we try to catch it? And that just leaves the upper stage of the rocket. Upper stage is about 20% of the cost of the mission. For a lot of missions, we can even bring the second stage back. So we're going to try to do that. Our primary focus will be on our Dragon 2 spacecraft, which is the Crew Dragon, next generation Dragon spacecraft, which has got all of the Eclipse systems. What's our primary focus? It's making sure we stay on track for getting crew to station, as we promised NASA around the middle of next year. I think it's going to be great for getting the public fired up. And I'd just like to thank people at NASA for giving SpaceX a chance to do this. And last week, for a long time, my password was "I love NASA." That is actually true. It's been way more difficult than cargo, for sure. It's really a giant step up in making sure things go right. The oversight from NASA is much tougher. It was not that it wasn't tough with cargo, but it's really intense for crew. Know where it's coming from. It's the right motivation. And there'll be some debates, going into next year about some of the technical details, and somebody's really in the weeds on rocket and spacecraft design. It will just, but there's, I think it's good to have these debates. And overall, I'm confident that it's going to be a system that NASA feels good about and SpaceX feels good about. And again, thanks for the NASA support on that. We should have made a slightly bigger deal out of it because it was the first reflown spacecraft since the shuttle. The SpaceX internal accounting said that it cost us almost as much as building a Dragon 1 from scratch. NASA top-line budget was increased. Now people have no idea. Even cargo Dragon 2 would be able to survive booster anomaly. Crew Dragon 2 has, except the thrusters, but I think in most cases actually it would still be able to survive re-entry and keep the cargo safe. I'd really just like to express some appreciation for the whole CRS team, because they've really allowed us to update the rocket and add crazy things like landing legs, and been really fair, I think, in allowing us to iterate with the booster for the CRS contract. Dragon 2 being used for both cargo and crew allows us to iterate with just a little more risk on the cargo version. Now it's super hard with space because this, we live on a planet with pretty high gravity, hypersonic, supersonic, transonic, subsonic. That's just a lot of regimes for sort of flying object to go through. Just any mode of transport. Like it's and before there was Union Pacific going across the U.S. to California.
By the way,
I love Texas. We do a huge part of our R&D in Texas, in Central Texas. A lot of people don't know about that.
You did Bosa Chica down in the south there.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So we've got a lot of activity. I think that'll give us good, contingency capability if there's say a hurricane coming through the Cape. So that's the biggest issue in Southern California: traffic hell. I mean, it's just like which level of hell are you in? So it's like, if you're in hell, we're digging a tunnel. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah.
And the tunnel starts right across from SpaceX HQ. A grown-worthy joke that I make about tunnels is that they have low expectations. No way to go but down.
Yes.
I could keep going. I don't think the public realizes how cool ISS is. That is an awesome thing that's up there. First of all, some people don't realize we have a space station. Like, you cannot be serious. We have a gigantic space station. It's huge. That's great. It's like an amazing technological achievement. On the commercial side, I think there's a lot of opportunities in kind of a global internet capability, so providing internet to parts of the world that either don't have it or where it's very expensive and not very good. The space is really good for providing internet connectivity for sparsely populated or low populated regions. Fiber cable for 2 miles, they'll never pay off the investment to get to one house type of thing. Public real fired up. I think we gotta have a base on the moon, that requires the simultaneous ignition of 27 orbit-class engines. I encourage people to come down to the Cape and see the first Falcon Heavy mission. It's guaranteed to be exciting. but it's this is one of those things that's really difficult to test on the ground, and we try to simulate the dynamics of having 27 instead of 9 booster engines, and the airflow as it goes through transonic. It's going to see heavy transonic buffet. There's a lot of risk associated with Falcon Heavy. Real good chance that vehicle does not make it to orbit. Want to make sure set expectations accordingly. I hope it makes it past, far enough away from the pad that it does not cause pad damage. I would consider even that a win, to be honest. I think Falcon Heavy is going to be a great vehicle. Just like so much that's really impossible to test on the ground, and we'll do our best. It actually ended up being way harder to do Falcon Heavy than we thought. At first, it sounds real easy. Just stick 2 first stages on as strap-on boosters. Yeah, how hard can that be? But then everything changes. All the loads change. Aerodynamics totally change. You've tripled the vibration and acoustics. The amount of load you're putting through that center core is crazy, because you got 2 super powerful boosters. Yeah, it just ended up being really way more difficult than we originally thought. We were pretty naive about that. The nice thing is when fully optimized, it's about 2.5 times the payload capability of a Falcon 9. And particularly if we do initial velocity scrub, do sort of at least 1 pass to scrub velocity, then come in on the 2nd pass. No question, whoever's on the first flight, brave.
Yes.
Well, we're going to take apart this engine, see how it works, and put it back together again. And then in order to take the engine apart, we need wrenches and screwdrivers and a winch. Now you understand the relevance. This is why wrenches are important. But there's got to be things that make you excited about life. Space is one of those things that does that for people all around the world. But when they landed on the moon, I mean, that was something for all of humanity. It really was. And people would, they'd walk 50 miles just to go find that one TV to watch it happen. There was a time when I thought that the Dragon approach to landing on Mars, we've got a base heat shield and side-mounted thrusters, would be the right way to land on Mars. I'm pretty confident that is not the right way. There's a far better approach, and that's what the next generation of SpaceX rockets and spacecraft is going to do. Going to Mars is not for the faint of heart. It's risky, dangerous, uncomfortable, and you might die. Now, do you want to go?
Yeah.
For a lot of people, the answer is going to be hell no, and for some, it's going to be hell yes. In a worst-case scenario, really kind of about equivalent to smoking on the way there. Now, smoking is pretty bad, and that should be enough that sort of marginal risk of cancer, is not something that is going to be a showstopper. You know, Mars is only in the same sort of rough quadrant of Earth, roughly 6 months every 2 years. For SpaceX, you know, we're trying to make sure we can get people there reliably at a cost they can afford. So there's kind of a threshold cost per ticket or cost per ton to the surface of Mars, below which a self-sustaining city can develop and above which it cannot. I think we'll probably also have to do a pivot of work on propellant depot, basically a propellant plant on Mars. Let's say if somebody makes an investment and wants to do something on Mars, so our focus is going to be on transport, kind of fundamental utilities, survivability, human will en masse to the outcome of AI. Having AI be an extension of individual human will, that's really the point of Neuralink, brain, AI, symbiote situation. So you'll see it coming. It won't happen all of a sudden. I do think it increases the long-term relevance of human exploration. For me, it increased my motivation long-term that it doesn't just need to be done by robots. You know? Thank you.
Thanks very much for being here today. Thanks for joining the conference.